I would like to thank you all for coming. It really means a lot to your families, and it says a lot about how you value your family. We will not just say children, but when we are talking about homeschooling, we are talking about a family decision. So you value your family. This is the reason why you are here. I know you could be elsewhere. I hear there's ASI somewhere, there are other meetings elsewhere, but God has allowed it that you will stand for this decision. Can I slide it a bit? Okay. I also feel very humbled that I'm standing before so many professionals who have taken their time. Who have taken their time to do the best and also come and sit so that we can network and share ideas about bringing up our families in the wisdom of the Lord. May God help us, and as I present, would you please continue to pray for me, because this is the first time I'm presenting such and to such a group. Earlier I was talking to Elder Mtema that when we were embarking on homeschooling, of course, Pastor Chifamba indicated that there will always be a donor fund. There were a few families that encouraged us, but we never got to have such a planned event. And so may God strengthen your arms, and may God strengthen your wisdom, so that you continue. Let it not be only the first, but let it continue, so that we continue encouraging each other, and may it continue to grow. Without taking too much time, we want to look at the basic or foundational text from Proverbs 22 verse 6. I think we all know this one, isn't it? May I ask the children, I see some of the children feel like, this is for the elderly. Any of the kids who knows the verse which begins by saying, train up? Anyone who knows? I know they know. Maybe they're feeling shy. I wanted somebody to finish, yes. Amen. Amen. This is very good. And what your parents have done is very important, because they are following the Lord's plan. So when you think about homeschooling, as Pastor Chifamba has said, it's not a new idea. It has been there. And if we look in Deuteronomy, this injunction was given by God, Deuteronomy 6 verse 6 to 9, that you have to teach your children, but first of all, these words which I command you today shall be in your heart. So that's the first thing. The words of the Lord should be in the parents' heart, and then thereafter they will teach the word to their children. And how are they supposed to train the children or teach the children? When they lie down. Of course, the Jewish day would start evening, isn't it? When they lie down, when they rise up, and when they walk by the way, and when they sit, and even on their doorposts and the gates, isn't it? So when we think about educating our children, it's our lifestyle, and this homeschooling, it's not very new. However, historically, people talk about when it really became a heated discipline where people were debating and writing about it. I want to believe somebody could have given you already a brief background, but it was started by somebody, John Holt, in the 1970s. He realized the importance of homeschooling and he really advocated for it, considering the evils and the corruption that was taking place in the schools that was in America. But if you look at it objectively, you realize that when God gave the original plan, the homeschooling, starting with Adam and Eve, they were schooling their children. After some time, people apostatized. I think we know it, isn't it? They departed from God's plan. And so this oscillation usually continues. People will depart from the Lord's way and there will be some revival. And so this revival which we are seeing today, we really praise God for it. That people are feeling we should go back to the Lord's teaching, the original plan. And of course, after some years in the 1980s, there was more, the Moore family, Dorothy and Raymond Moore. These are commonly called like the grandparents of homeschooling. They really did a lot. They read from Ellen White's writing, and they advocated especially sending children to school when they are mature. They encourage parents to be the first teachers and allowing children to study or learn from nature freely until when they are mature, like 8 years or so. And I'm sure right now our eyes will be open wide that 8 years, what will the child be doing, isn't it? But it doesn't mean they are not learning. So right from birth, children begin to learn. Actually, from conception, children begin learning. And so this process of training begins early, and we should continue to look at it. I will move first to where we want to be. We want to talk about understanding the learner, the child. We have just spoken about the importance of homeschooling, and I want to believe we discussed a bit, isn't it? The significance of homeschooling. We will also, if God allows us, take a few minutes at the end to carry out a brief SWOT analysis looking at the strengths, the weaknesses, opportunities, and the threats to homeschooling. Because we may even wonder, if this is God's plan, how come there are very few people who are advocating it or who are practicing it? Some may say it's the right thing, but they are failing to practice it. Why? We may be wondering. But as for now, I wanted us to look at these little ones, the learners. These are our stakeholders, isn't it?
Yes.
And they say the best marketing strategy is to what? A satisfied client. Is that correct? And so sometimes you want to think, I also reflect, when I was teaching my children, did I do the best? So I want us to ask ourselves, did we do the best, or are we doing the best for each one of these? These are our stakeholders, these learners, so that the short period which God has given us with them, we maximize and do the best with them, so that when they reflect, will they say, I think I should homeschool my child also? Or would they say, that was a waste of time, or it was a torture? So how is it with our children, the different learners? Danny jumps into everything. Now when we say Danny, what comes to my mind is, am I done? So I think of our firstborn child, and he was also very active, just doing this, asking that. So they say Danny jumps into everything with both feet and sometimes even into mud puddles, and yet Irene stands out in a group as the loudest, making noise, talkative, and Sam can sit quietly. Sam and Sally are usually quiet. They work diligently at whatever task you give them. Then we have Carol, Conchita's Carol, talented, creative, and most of the times they want to do their best in everything. And because of that, sometimes because they are perfectionists, they may even suffer from inferiority, or they may become self-punitive that, did I do the best of what mommy is expecting, because mommy is the teacher or dad is the teacher, isn't it? Now they say a teacher was trying to teach the Bible story of David, the shepherd. And after teaching the story, he asked the children, he gave them clay, or the modeling clay, Play-Doh. I wish I had time to give these little ones to start making. And so as they started fashioning, it was amazing that some of them were creative and others finished. On the other end, there are some who didn't finish. Danny finished first and was already trying to fashion the sheep and even the shepherd dog and maybe a wolf. But no one would know the difference from the way they were, fashioned. And you want to imagine, if you were the parent or the teacher, you probably say, but what's this? I can't even tell what it is. But as educators, we should find ways of reaching to the heart, that garden of the heart. Irene did not finish. Why? Actually, she did not even start. And I want to imagine, you are Irene's teacher. You have given them the same amount of time. What do? She was busy entertaining others. They are there. We talk about them in a large class, but sometimes even in a class of 2. In your family, with 4 children, we had 4. But you would find that we have these differences. And usually such a chit-chat type, they just say, I have nothing to do. Is it because they don't have anything to do? Because there's no one to do it with. So even when you do your homeschooling, there are those who enjoy working in teams, working in groups. Eventually you discover that you are the team. Dad, mom, and the siblings. If you have one child and you are homeschooling, you are the team. If there's group work, you may have to team up and be the group for that moment. So there are those who need the group work. Sam and Sally finished the project on time. These two enjoy cooperative work, where of course they are accommodative and they support each other, and they are very warm to work with. On the other hand, Carol's work was exceptionally done. And you do have such. As they work on their projects, it's the one which is worth displaying. But what about the other one, whose wolves were not so different from the sheep? Will you display them? They are different. So one could be a perfectionist, one could do a very good job, but let's take time to understand them. These are the children whom God has given us. God has given us and created each one of us with uniqueness. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And so this is marvelous, and each one of us has special abilities. Now I want those little ones to come, my helpers. Please come here, come here. Come and stand here. Another one. I need 4. Pardon?
You want to?
Yeah, I'm saying read it left to right because I'm on this side.
Yes.
It's supposed to be there. Then I think the next one is yes. This one will come next. Okay, what do you see there? I hope it's correct. Is it reading?
It's okay.
It's the other way around. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I need to know the left and right because I'm doing it from this side. So it's supposed to be. Yes. Good. Thank you. All right. Anyway, these are just the symbols, these letters. So either way they could be stood, but for easy remembrance, we just call it the DISC, personalities. Looking at the different personalities, these are also exhibited or demonstrated in our children. We could commonly say in the classroom, but our family is the classroom. So it could be a classroom which is multi-grade, with some in grade 1, some in ECD, others in grade 6 or grade 7, but these personalities are there, and we want them to learn to work together. D refers to the dominant, I refers to the influential, and S refers to the supportive, and C to the conscientious. The common descriptions of the D. Others want to use animals like the birds. D is represented by the eagle. Who is D?
Yes.
All right. D is represented by the eagle. But please don't give them these nicknames later on. But see, what is known about the eagle? It dominates, isn't it? Yes. So there are those who are very good at dominating. What should we do with them? We need to encourage them, but encourage them in a way that is Christian. You want to imagine that if Christ would see this, because even among his disciples, he had those like Peter, who would always dominate the conversation, but he was able to handle each one of them accordingly. And so, if you were looking at how they were brought up, the D children, possibly some of you mothers are already imagining how your D child grew up. Those who crow early, who are quick to talk, who are quick to give answers. And sometimes we may end up stifling. Sometimes we may stifle their talent or their abilities if we are always complaining or putting them down. That you are too talkative. Why are you doing that? Go and sit down. Don't say anything. But let's be ready to listen to them. And that's one of the important advantages of homeschooling. Because as a parent, usually we expect you to be very patient with your child, as compared to somebody with a class of 40, 50 students. They want to get to achieve certain objectives. So they end up just telling the children as a group that when I do this, everyone be quiet. We are not saying when you have your children in homeschooling, you don't discipline them. You should discipline them, you should teach them to do things in an orderly way, but understand them, and they are privileged that you get to understand their personalities and help it develop. Now the next one, the I, influential. I think my friends are tired. Isn't it? You want to go and sit? You want to continue? You continue holding so that mommy and daddy will see. Now I, is that the I? Yes, influential. There are those who are very influential and very interactive. They are always asking questions. What do you do with children who are always asking questions? I told you it's too much. Go outside, go and play outside. Or go and chase the lizard out there. You give them a task so that you're just putting them away. But that's not the right thing. We need to be there to answer their questions. If we don't do, there are answers out there. The devil provides answers. Social media is there. And so, if we don't give them answers, the devil is ready with right answers. These days, you know, there's this talk about the rights, there's this talk about sexuality, the LG, what. Yes. They will ask you. So we are the people to lay the right foundation. Don't feel shy that, no, I can't tell. If you can't, who else is going to? I remember at one time I had a conversation with one fellow classmate when I was studying at UC. They were talking about a child who was abused when they had gone for counseling somewhere. And so they were saying, but anyway, what could I do if a child is asking about sexuality? I can't answer that. I'll just send them to go to an aunt or to someone. I said, no. God has given you that responsibility. You are the first person to give them that guidance. Answer all their questions because we are supposed to give them that knowledge. God has designed it that way. Yes, we have aunties, uncles, but their secondary, primary educators are the parents. Then the supportive. Sam and Sally supportive. Sam and Sally supportive. Can you say that? Sally supportive? Good. Sally supportive or Sam supportive. They are always very cooperative. When you have an idea, they are there to also contribute and also assist. You know, sometimes, even young as they are, they may surprise you by trying to do something. As they try to do something, it may not be perfectly done. Let's be patient. They are still in the making. So let's not destroy their desire to help. At one time, one of our children, we won't say which one, really wanted to be helpful. So we used to stay where water was difficult to get, and so we had to go and fetch water and water the plants, fetch water and water the plants. But later on, we transferred to another school where there was plenty of water, and there was much need of using these 5-liter containers to fetch it. You use a 5-liter, I would use a 10-liter one. And so one day, I think he was just thinking of those days when he would help me. So he just went, took a 5-liter and started watering. But I wasn't aware that he was already watering. So this happened during the week. On a Friday, I was staying with a relative and we were preparing for Sabbath. And as we were preparing for Sabbath, suddenly she says, we are running out of cooking oil. I said, go to the bedroom. You know, those days, some cooking oil when it was difficult to get, it was stashed away in the bedroom in some corner. And so I said, go and collect that 5-liter container. She said, no, it's not there. I had gone in, but I didn't see it. I said, it's there. I know it's there. She said, no, let's go together. We went there. No, there was no cooking oil. I just wondered, but who else would just come into this house to only get cooking oil and nothing else? And so we just said, let's brush it off. We quickly went and borrowed from the neighbor just a bottle of cooking oil so that we prepare for the Sabbath. Then on Sunday, as usual, we are busy, laundry and helping, gardening. And then my son comes with that container and says, Mommy, do you know I've been helping? I said, what have you been doing? He says, see, I'm fetching water and watering. I saw that bottle of cooking oil. And so I tried to be patient. So I said, so what have you been doing? Show me. So we went together. He showed me. What was he watering? Sweet potatoes. Because we didn't need to water much at that place. But we had planted lots of sweet potatoes. And I saw they were shining. The ground was wet with oil. And I said, where did you get that? I took it from the bedroom. I remembered we used to water the plants. So I said, here's the container in the bedroom. I took it. And imagine when sealed. I wonder how you are so strong to open it. He watered with 5 liters of cooking oil. But you don't get annoyed because the motive is good. Yes. So the Sally supporter, they want to be supportive. They want to surprise you. They'll do some things. Sometimes it can be annoying, but let's be patient. Now I am quickly coming to you with your C. Yes. What letter you got? C. C for Carol Concentas or Chuck Concentas or Charles. When you think about people who are Concentas, they are very careful. They don't want to take a risk. And I think we have such children also. They hesitate to do things. They don't want to do anything unless they have a high chance of doing it successfully. What do we do with that? Is it bad? No. But what do we do? I saw a hand. Ma'am, I thought I saw your hand. Oh, sorry. What do we do with those people who are very conscientious, who don't want to take a risk? They are very hesitant. They want to try to do something, but they are the watch and see. They want to watch and see how it works. We need to encourage them, isn't it? That sometimes we need to take a risk, isn't it? And I want to appreciate what we have done to come with the children out here in the wild. When they enjoy nature, sometimes it makes them also see how they can appreciate nature and they can do certain things which may appear to be like beyond what they could be expected to do. Thank you very much. Now when you look at individual differences, this is not a new thing when you think about individual differences. It's natural. God has designed it that we are not the same. In the Bible, we have the story of Abel and Cain, isn't it? They were different. And then the twins, even twins can be different. Any family with twins here? Thank you, my friends. I'm going to call you soon. So please pay attention, because I'll just say, if you are watching, I'll call you again. And so, when we think of the story of the twins, Esau and Jacob, they were different. Different physically and different even in behavior. Isn't that right? And so, sometimes as teachers, we could make a mistake, or educators. This time I'm not speaking to you as parents, as teachers, but I'm thinking teachers out there in the public school. When a child comes to school, sometimes we say, you know, I taught your mother, I taught your father, you was very good in math. How come you are not serious, you are very naughty? Let's not over-expect by just saying, because this one comes from this family, or because his brother is good in math, they should also be good in math. Let's be ready to embrace the individual differences and do the best with them. And so, you may have had your firstborn who was very organized and very hardworking. The next one will be so carefree. And each time you go to the room and say, why can't you keep your things, your books in order? Why can't you finish your homework in time? How best can we help? We have two children. One is very organized, the other one not. Spanking is out.
I think one way of doing this is by not comparing.
Yes.
By comparing them, you, what can I say? You will shut down the other.
Stifle or killing.
Yes.
Yes.
You need to help the other to grow and to do better.
Mm-hmm. Because if we continuously compare them, you may kill the interest or the zeal of the other. Because they will always feel that, so this is my standard. We are not saying it's bad to appreciate or affirm something good in the other child. But whilst we do that, let's not always compare them by using one child as the standard of the other. Because that will affect the way we help them as homeschoolers. Because you may discover that, especially if you are teaching the same children using a specific curriculum, say you are using this government correspondence, you know that by week 6 we would have covered this. And you say, when I was doing this with your sister 2 years ago, by this time we had covered this, we're already revising. Please don't compare. Work with each child and appreciate their strengths. As we are going to look at this second part, that yes, these are personality differences, and these differences go beyond just personalities. As we looked at Esau and Jacob, even physically they were different, isn't it? And we say the sources, what brings these differences, genetics, the environment, the way we bring them up, and what else? Lifestyle, nutrition, isn't it? That's why it's very important that we provide the best diet right from conception for the growing child, even when they are still an embryo. And at the same time, when mothers are expecting, they need to be careful what they eat. We have the story of Manoah and wife in Judges chapter 13. When the angel came and announced, the wife was very excited and wanted to share the news with the husband. And of course they prayed that let the angel come again. And of course God sent the angel again. And then they said, how shall we order the child? Or how shall we teach the child? This should be our prayer as parents. That how shall we order this child? Because these are entrusted to us by the Lord. Now we want to look at the differences in learning, and I think we get into our SWOT analysis. My good friends, come. Where's the other one? This should be the last. So we need 2 more who are coming. Please come, quickly, come. Someone is coming. Now one more. She's coming. Now, another way of looking at these individual differences is looking at how they learn. Some scholars have come up with many theories about how children learn, but I've just selected this simpler one, the VAC learning styles. V standing for the visual, then auditory, read and write, and the kinesthetic. Now when you think about our children, though they are in our home, generally the tendency is to say, I'm just at home. You probably may not even plan or scheme what you are going to teach, but that's not right. We need to plan for each lesson. This is why it's encouraged to follow a specific curriculum with the plan for day 1, lesson 1, lesson 2 up to the end. So if you follow that, you also prepare some visual aids or teaching aids, because there are some visual learners who learn best through their eyes, by seeing, isn't it? And so it is very important. They say most of these sayings are either West African, Nigerian, or Ghanaian saying, or Chinese, isn't it? Which says, show me, I will remember. Tell me, tell me, I will forget. Show me, I will remember. Involve me, and I will understand. So we should encourage learning which is active, not just passive, so that they are not just receiving information. The visual learners would be helped more, they benefit more through visual aids. So let's use visual aids. I'm sure I saw some small, what do you call it, matamba containers out there. Those are teaching aids. So you don't have to go to buy expensive things for teaching aids. Let's begin with what God has given us. These will help us, and they will have lasting impressions. And visual learners are fast talkers and sometimes impatient listeners. So we don't have to have very long lessons with visual learners. Make the lesson brief, because they would have mastered through what they have seen. And they prefer the grammatic representations and maybe use short phrases, not long sentences. Their attention span is generally limited. Then we have the auditory learners. Auditory learners prefer to listen and hear. These days, you may discover that if you have the opportunity to have a lesson that is recorded and they listen to it over and over, the audio learners would prefer that. Sometimes, especially little, the preschoolers, they want a story repeated over and over. They keep saying, tell me again the story, and if you have it recorded, you can play it over and over again. Though they speak slowly, they are natural listeners. So be patient with them, as they learn best by listening. Then we have the read and write learners. Read and write learners. You are the read and write learner. Yes. So those the read and write learners, they like to read. So as much as possible, although they may be even preschoolers or toddlers, prepare material for them which they can do picture reading, more than just abstract. And they also like scribbling. When they scribble, even if you may not understand, take time to listen to what they say they scribbled. Because you'll be surprised that they will tell you a whole story from what they've scribbled. And so give them opportunity to write, to express themselves through writing. Right now you're already seeing two different types of learners here, isn't it? We go on to the last one, the kinesthetic learner or the psychomotor. These ones enjoy hands-on, practically getting involved. So don't just use abstract. We are not saying they should not learn some concepts using abstract, but let it not be all abstract. Involve them in practical, so that they learn more as they put it to practice. Commonly, these are the verb. Maybe my friends can repeat the letters. The verb, be, K. Let's repeat again. V A R K. Thank you very much. Now you may go and sit. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. All right. There are different ways of understanding the learner diversities. But now, what are the implications? Let's talk about the implications. What it means to us. I want us to talk now. I'm not going to talk much. I want us to talk. Thereafter, we do our SWOT. How much time do we have? Oh, it's off. All right. So 10 minutes is enough for a SWOT. Educational implications, it means we should use variety as we teach. Don't relax. Most people assume that when you are doing homeschooling, you just wake up and say, by the way, I need to teach. Get into your room and then let's plan. So that everything is done in sequence. And also sometimes our neighbors assume that if you are homeschooling all the time, if there is a task to be done in the community or something, they say, we are not saying it's bad to go and do community work or church work, but prepare your schedule, follow your schedule. Let no one try to manipulate you. Don't. So follow your planned schedule and of course adjust your method, your teaching methods according to the learners, your stakeholders. Remember, we say these are our clients. Are our clients satisfied with our work? Let's ask ourselves, ask your neighbor. Ask your neighbor, is your client satisfied? All right. Whilst we say, whether we say our client is not satisfied or they are satisfied, that one we are going to answer later on. But for now, let's discuss the strengths and weaknesses. If we have time, we're going to do it in groups, but we don't have time. I think we can discuss it together. Isn't it? Strengths and weaknesses. Do you want to do it in groups? Together. All right. I'll ask one of the teachers to come in. Oh, this is a board for writing also? No. They will write on paper. Who wants to volunteer? If there is no volunteer, I will volunteer for someone. You can write on your tablet. It's still fine. All right, let's look at the strengths or advantages, benefits of homeschooling. I didn't intend us to take so much time on this because this is well known. So let's quickly just say the points. Advantages of homeschooling. Yes?
Teacher is time to focus on each child.
Yes. Teacher-people ratio, isn't it? We have more time to focus. I've heard some people arguing that, well, it depends. If the teacher doesn't care, they won't even care about their child. But I tend to agree that the teacher has more time. And the chances are that they will do better. Another important strength, because I want us to move on to the threats. What's threatening them? It's the original, that's God's way. And you feel confident because of that, isn't it? That you are doing the right thing which God wants you to do. Another advantage, yes? Pardon? Repeat it. Oh, yes, yes. As a parent, you can filter the information that is provided to your child. Unlike when they are at the school, yes, we are not saying teachers out there cannot filter. They will, but by the time the child comes home in the evening, you are asking how was school, you may not have enough time, isn't it? And some things transpire between home and school. There are things which take place, which you may not get to know. So that's important, yes. Bonding time, yes. It strengthens bonding time.
Get to know the direction of your child for career guidance purposes better.
Yes, yes. You get to know the direction, to know how to direct your child career-wise.
The teacher already knows the differences we have. I'm not so she teaches
Okay, the teacher already knows the difference. Yes, because you have been with the child from birth, isn't it? And so you prepare appropriately. All right. Can somebody rephrase the same? Flexibility, yes. Should we continue? I know there are many more. Now let's look at, we could go on to 10, 15. Let's look at some of the weaknesses which some people attribute to homeschooling. They say, some will say, I'll never homeschool my child for this reason.
There's always, I don't know, but it's not a weakness, but it is cited that it's socialization.
Yeah, that
But it's
most
not- it's
people
actually
feel
a
that
strength,
it has minimal socialization,
yeah.
reduced social interaction.
Yes.
But it all depends. I was talking earlier on with someone that with the African child, most of the times they have enough social life. But it depends, maybe when they are really close, they're just the parent and the child. Then they have minimal social life. Anything else? Affordability can be even an advantage, isn't it? No school run. So it becomes affordable for most people.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, some people would think about affordability in that they will say, but now instead of going to work, mother could be working and earning and take only half of that money, send the child to school, pay for school run, pay the maid. But let's be careful that we don't sacrifice our children on the altar of money or the altar of success. So there isn't much on weaknesses, isn't it? Now let's look at the opportunities.
I'm saying actually probably these are perceived weaknesses.
That's why I said what others.
Yeah.
But those who may not have had enough
Yeah.
information.
Information.
So, another weakness I was thinking, if the mother is not well, you will school.
All right, on the day when mom is not well. Yes.
Or maybe you're in a situation whereby it's a single parent.
They have to be earning money.
Schooling
Yes.
situation. So
Becomes a
it becomes
challenge.
a bit of
Yes. Actually, if we have time, we're going to talk about the idea that homeschooling can be homeschooling by parents, and it can also be homeschooling using hired teachers. If the mother is a single parent, they could hire maybe one teacher only who is only focusing on it. There is like a second best, because maybe there is no other option for the mother.
Someone else is also have a weakness that people think it's highly dependent on father and mother only. So when there's either sickness or when there's a fight, impending divorce, people say, why don't you keep the child in school out of the fight? when father goes his way, mother goes their way.
Yes.
So it's like a homeschooling setup. Any disturbances in the family, sickness or death by both parents in an accident, leaves this child.
Yeah, yeah. So that one can go, maybe, to some extent, it also keeps the family together. But when parents decide to separate, they are also departing from God's way. I've seen a lot of cases whereby they say, let's send the child to boarding school as a way of just keeping the child out of the friction. But that's not the best though.
Since they say that the mother is the single influence in terms of raising the child, if the mother is illiterate, what's the child?
Yes, usually the early years are important. They are foundational. Children are like wet cement. We need to make the best impressions when they are still young. Or as the twig is bent, when we think about those who train the trailing plants, they do so when the twigs are still very tender. And so the mother's responsibility is to be there for the child. However, as has been emphasized, fathers and mothers need to participate. I'll send a few quotations from SOP on that fathers and mothers need to hold hands and do it collaboratively. It's important for us to work together as a team. Was it covered? Oh yes, if they are not firmly grounded. Yes. Yes. If they have to spend this term with dad, next term with mom, yes, it may be a challenge. Okay, now let's look at opportunities. What are the opportunities associated with homeschooling? Are there any opportunities? Yes.
The child can easily move on and become an entrepreneur because of the training related to the child is born architect, not an independent or entrepreneur, a business owner or something.
You picked it, isn't it? About they develop entrepreneurship and they can also learn to be independent at an early stage. They mature faster socially, socio-emotionally, and as a result, they are able to stand alone and also to be self-directed, especially in their studies, most of the times. So there is opportunity to do extra things apart from just the academic. I think that's the point.
I just want to go back to what I said. It's not this time also because these children who are homeschooled, they are distractors, the innovators. They are good distractors in terms of innovations. They are not, since they enter this entrepreneurial spirit, they are not satisfied with the status quo.
Yes. And so, of course, whilst we may think of it from the strength that these people with unique talent, we need to take time with them. And if we give them attention, they can be innovators, isn't it? Just like some people who can be considered to be naughty, if we take more time with them, they can end up being inventors or innovative. So there is opportunity to develop them and develop their skill. Any other opportunities?
For an opportunity to change them. I'm trying to look at the
Yeah.
that for them to be citizens
Responsible citizens.
in the world to come.
And also for this world and the world to come. It's an opportunity for parents to participate, especially in this plan of salvation, helping your own children
Yes.
for this world and the world to come, than to delegate. Actually, there's a quotation where Ellen White says, do not delegate that responsibility to someone. Let nothing distract you. It's our responsibility. So this is an opportunity. We have had, of course, disruptions here and there, as Pastor Chifamba was explaining our story. But sometimes when children have gone and then they have to come back, even when they are adults or when they are in university, I've had to praise God and said, Lord, thank you for giving me a second chance with the child so that I can be able to have more time with the child. So it's an opportunity to be there with the children and strengthen your bonds. Any other, like networking, that's what the one which I'm thinking. This is an opportunity which you have right now. What we are doing, networking with colleagues, and also homeschooling allows people to travel. That flexibility which was mentioned, as our children travel to different places, sometimes they travel with their parents. Traveling is educational. So it's an opportunity for them to learn a lot about the world around them. Anyway, you add some more. Oh, thank you.
To say opportunity maybe to preserve values, culture, even the faith.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's very important. I think it's captured. I wanted to quickly rush to the T. The threats. What are the threats to homeschooling? Is it under threat? Will it go extinct?
Yeah.
Do you want to think of one day when maybe you'll be the only homeschooler? When everyone else has said this doesn't work. Any threats? let me start from the back, then I will.
Some rules or regulations or laws that some countries are making is presenting a threat.
Yes.
Homeschooling enterprise.
Some rules and regulations in some countries. They'll say no child will be allowed to be in grade 1 unless if they've undergone this. And so we should pray for those people who are in those countries. Any other threat? Was that a hand? Oh, all right. Yes.
I think also it's coming from social activists that are saying that we should not confine children to you only as parents. Allow them to freely express themselves into the world, etc.
Yes. These movements, maybe he wants you to repeat it.
Oh, I'm saying threat coming from social activism, people that are showing activism to say that a child should freely express themselves. Like, give a child their right to express themselves. Don't confine them only to you yourself as the parents alone. Allow them to go anywhere where they want.
Yeah. That's a very good observation. Yes.
It's a threat from commerce as well, the business industry. To some who have taken education on a business platform, I was discussing with one person about homeschooling, and they thought, why would you want to teach your child at home? Bring them to my school, and you'll do a better job than what you are trying to do.
Yes.
So the business world definitely can also give a threat, because they see that it might disrupt what they are.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Another thing is management team mentality. And also the other one is criticism from within, especially there was a speaker of first day in my church, which is on the GC calendar. One of the elders who preached or who spoke obviously, he was dissing, and this is just outward and wayward. You cannot homeschool your child. You need to send your children out so that they socialize. So it is the criticism from it's what they gather from the superficial leaders among us. So you'll be standing alone in a pool of criticism, of extreme criticism. So it tends to dishearten things.
So we need to encourage each other. What we have done is very good to form this, I don't know whether I would say community of homeschoolers or group or what, but keep this up, keep the flame burning. I see so many hands.
I just wanted to respond to what the brother is saying. And I want to say that when we take our children for Sabbath school, pathfinders, and what have you, that's also socialization.
That's right. They get a lot enough for the age. And so they say, as the child is born, that first inner circle, God has made it the primary circle. And then as they grow older, they play with a few acquaintances, relatives, and neighbors. And then you widen the circle as they grow older. By that time, they are mature enough to be able to make decisions, and we've laid the foundation. Imagine the story of Moses, that they had laid the foundation. Even Daniel, the parents had laid the foundation. By the time he was taken to Babylon, the foundation was laid.
There's a threat of abuse.
Mm-hmm.
On the second best option you highlighted,
Mm-hmm.
the parents are not there, and we hire out someone to
Mm-hmm.
homeschool our kids. There's a serious possibility of abuse.
That's right.
Especially if the higher teachers are not truly connected.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there's a high risk.
We have to pray very hard to do that.
Yes.
Just like if we have workers in our homes and what have you, we need to pray to have God-fearing people who will not destroy the foundations you are laying.
I see a hand there, then I'm coming to you. Here we're almost so exhausted. It's time out.
Sometimes we don't look at that as a threat. There for the parent or the parents. Because if the child is in this system where the parents understood what they were doing, God forbid the parents die, that's a serious threat to go through the enterprise for that child.
So it can be a calamity like death,
Yeah.
some disaster. The devil can bring this. Even divorce, as we said later, earlier on, that sometimes when families separate, that destroys maybe the foundation of money, resource base, and the main parent says, what should I do? Or they divide, this child goes this way, the other. And so that's a threat also. I think the last hand, or there's another one. Pardon? Lack of commitment, yes, lack of commitment. Sometimes we start, but we don't follow through. We need to be committed right through. Lack of commitment and supporting each other, especially as parents. It's not easy if one parent is for homeschooling and the other one thinks it's not worth it.
I think I was just in addition to the same point, where it's lack of sincerity or lack of knowledge from the parents. Refusal to accept improvement from the parents. So the child cannot raise higher than the parent is.
You are right. Oh, another one is generous.
And I was saying, there's no specific performance measure, it's just the outcome of the work.
All right. Oh, yes, when there is an equal yoking in marriage. Yes, when there is discordance. Planning.
Manda, I know your schedule is tight, but I think we need to have a slot where we discuss about these threats.
Yes.
Yeah, I know your schedule is tight. Now you are going and tomorrow you're coming for 1 hour.
I know.
Because this is this is a key issue, especially the threats. The opportunities we are having.
Yeah, and trying to say they are there.
But this is a serious issue. Yeah, I don't know what others think and what you think, Mama. But I think this one
And people say, I give up, this thing doesn't work, you know.
In-laws, you say, we've been there.
Yeah, you know. So, anyway, I don't know. I know right now we have another program coming up. The decision is yours. We're talking about time. We're just about.
Yes, our guest is saying you still have extra 30 minutes. You can cover up if your plan is not.
You want to continue?
She can continue.
She can continue.
Thank you.
Sorry for the.
She's a liberated.
No. Don't leave.
By permission.
It's just a burden which I also have, that whenever you want to do something good, that's what I was saying, whenever God is bringing a resurrection or something or revival, the devil wants to water down. And so you may be surprised that when you go back, somebody will start discouraging you, and they may even start citing examples of people say, we once tried it. We're also told by some families that, you want to go that way. We once tried it, it doesn't work. But then we just said, by God's grace, if it doesn't work, we will fail whilst we are within. We will not just accept it like that. Because usually after we've looked at threats, we're going to look at what do we think we can do, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Than to leave ourselves hanging.
Yeah, that's.
So, any last comment on the threats so that we discuss again as a group on what do you think we can do?
I'm just repeating what you are saying. That I think having identified the threats, now it is for us to look at the practical solutions in what we are doing or intend to do.
Sure. I think that's very important. So that when we leave this place,
yes,
we are equipped. We are not saying we'll be perfect homeschoolers, but we are equipped with different ways of how to go about it. I saw a hand.
I think there's one case.
Mm-hmm.
In our secondary school, schooling is presented as a rite of passage into some holy see. So a very spiritual group of people who homeschool.
Okay.
Something like says even the way they conduct their schools, they're just being able to be by faith. There's no routine, there's no methodology, there's no learning, no skill acquisition. It's just a test of faith.
Okay. That's very important, that observation, the threat. But I also would like to look at it also from another side, that it's almost like a misconception. There is one point which the elder here once mentioned, that this one happens when people don't understand homeschooling correctly. So they eventually just label it that it's for the holier than thou, or those who want to do this, those who want to do things, they are going to be transformed. But yes, it's a threat which threatens the survival of homeschooling. Now, before we discuss on way forward, you read to us what he has. But before we do that, there's the threat of competition for success in life. Competition, especially for material success and even educational success in life. We live in this world, especially social media, whereby we like to post our status that this is where we are, this is what we have done, this is what we have acquired. And so sometimes we feel, which is almost like the peer pressure which Pastor Chifamba was talking about, we feel like if we have nothing to show that our children have done this, or we have taken our children somewhere, then we are not doing successfully. Or even the grades, like they are flying high. But one of the experiences which really showed us that homeschooling can be rewarding is about our third son. Of course, they went through the government correspondence school, all of them. And this one went through up to grade 4, and then we moved to Solusi, and from there went to Eritrea. And then when he was waiting for his O-level results, God just say, Mom, I don't want to sit at home. What can I do to just keep myself busy? But since I used to just continuously visit that government correspondence school, I told him that, do you remember that school? Your teacher always asks about you. So where is he? What is he doing? Maybe we can just go and you see whether she needs you to assist. So we went together, and she said, oh, we will gladly, appreciate your help. We even usually hire someone to come and do, they photocopy some papers, they collect them, then the resources into packages, modules. And so they said, if you are willing, you can do that. And he said, no, I want to do it voluntarily. Even though you usually pay, but for now, I want to do it voluntarily. And they were so excited that this is plowing back. And so when the results came, we went and collected his results. And then he took his results to his teacher. So I just drove him, and I was parked down. I think those people who know the place, it's slightly upstairs, isn't it? So I was parked down here. Then suddenly I heard noise. And then I didn't decide to follow. I just waited, and he came down with, I think, 2 of the teachers. And they say, we have just come to congratulate. We're making noise, celebrating that one of our products, because by the time he did his O-level, he got all A's. We were all surprised also. We said, God, you are so good. He was now back in school, but they knew that the foundation was laid when he was doing homeschooling with that government correspondence school. So we just go and collect resources. I'll teach them at home. But they said, let's celebrate, let's praise God. So do not be discouraged. Your work shall be rewarded. God will reward you for your efforts. Don't be fooled by people who say success at all costs, and they will be showing you this and that, and you may feel so depressed, but don't be discouraged. Don't feel even apologetic when they ask you. And please help our children to learn to speak boldly. Because sometimes they say, which school are they going? At home. What are they learning? Oh, you are still at home. Let them know that they are at school. This is the reason why it's important to even have them, if possible, have a specific uniform, a way of dressing. And of course, when it's time for classes, don't allow disruptions. When people try to come and thinking you are idle, tell them, come after class. I'm busy with them. They will know that you value that schooling. And children will also appreciate, and also take them to some of the events like this one. I know financially it's kind of heavy, but next time when you come, maybe you already have, I'm talking about something this day, you can have their t-shirts for the homeschoolers.
Yes.
So that when they go back, they are excited we had gone for our camp. So it's something which is worth it, because I remember our kids would go for that government. They would go like sports day once, and then prize giving once per term. So they would go there about twice, but in between I would take them when we collect materials. But they would be so glad to just associate. They say, oh, okay, so this is my school, this is my teacher, and they'll say, but Mami, you are also my teacher. And so they love it. Don't make them feel apologetic. A story is told about 2 sheep or ships. These are like boats. Long ago, they were steamboats. So they were sailing across some big chasm of water, And so as they were sailing, let's call ship A and ship B, they started, encouraging each other, and then ended up teasing each other that ours is faster, yours is slower, and said, no, watch us. We are going to reach the shore faster than you. And so the boat B says, no, you can't make it. We are going to do it faster than you. And so as they started, you try to be rowing and you want the steam to be coming faster, said, but they are getting advanced. They are going faster than us. What can we do? And they started taking some of the cargo, the one which they could add as fuel. They added to fuel their boat so it can move faster. And the other said, we are going to be left behind. Then they started trying to offload. They wanted to offload and throw away so that the boat is lighter and they move faster. And so finally, when they arrived across, there were people welcoming them. Say, oh, okay, welcome, welcome. Let's receive what you have. Amazingly, no cargo. Success at all costs, but you have lost all your cargo. So let's be very careful that in this race for getting income, getting education, getting popularity, we don't sacrifice our children. We lose them. By the time we arrive there, our cargo is gone. This is our cargo. These are our clients. Let's do the best. Sorry, I went into the conclusion, but I want him to lead us now.
I'm reading the threads on.
So that, pardon?
I'm reading the threads on.
Yeah. Do you want him to read everything?
Just three.
Yeah, the press, because we want to look at the press and how best do you think we can improve. And meanwhile, I don't know whether someone can scribble. Ma'am, can you scribble some of the propositions on what do you think we can do so to circumvent the threats, or at least to see how best God can help us overcome the threats.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to go through the list of threats that I've written here. I'm going to read the list of threats that I've written that you gave as we were discussing. So I will start. Number one, it's there are some laws that are passed by the governments or regulations that they put across that appears to be a threat to homeschooling. To give an example, so like they would say you should do a certain thing so that you can reach to this certain stage, which might be very difficult for parents who are homeschooling to get through those processes. There's also another one that is social activism, whereby people say you should not own your child alone, let the child go out there and explore. That's another challenge. Then there's another one in the business world. People are into making money and they want your children to teach them so that they can make money from you. So it's also a challenge that we have discussed. Then there is a mentality that we may have, that the what will people say mentality about you homeschooling. You want to start homeschooling, and then you think, what will people say when I start this? What will people say when I do this? That mentality becomes a threat to homeschooling. There's also the issue of abuse, especially when we have hired somebody to teach our children at home. They might end up abusing our children at home. So it's another threat again that we have discussed. There's also the issue of divorce. Divorce is a threat also to homeschooling. There's death and other things that will fall into that category that can come as a threat to homeschooling. And also there's a lack of commitment on the parents. Maybe parents may lack commitment, they may lack knowledge, and also the issue of unequal yoking, whereby we have parents who have got different ideas. The father is saying let's homeschool, but the mothers not for the idea. Those can come as threats as well. And there is also an issue whereby there is no specific performance measure which can be as a threat to homeschooling as well. There is also competition in life, whereby we have the pressure of posting in our status on the progress of our children, or maybe the progress of us being successful in educational terms. It can also be a threat. Then there is also the last one, the holier than thou attitude that can come from our colleagues, whereby they'll be saying, you want to do this because you think you are more good than others, and you are trying to be the perfect one for your children. So that idea coming from our colleagues can also come as a threat to our homeschooling. I think these are all the points that we have mentioned. If I missed others, forgive me for missing them, but I made an effort to write everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you sit down, is it third last? There's something which I missed. Yeah, no specific.
Yeah, no specific performance measure.
Okay. I wanted us to discuss in brief some of these points we've already discussed, but we are looking at way forward. Or he wants to read, and maybe the elder can help us just coordinate and capture. What do you think we can do? Because yes, he has read, but now?
No.
Way forward. Maybe you can kindly comment. It will be faster. Yeah, the two of you, you read and, or you.
Perhaps just move on and sit there so that we tap on the matter. And we just report that this group is going to do something.
Exactly.
Give us a chance to
All right, that's fine. Did we get the suggestion?
Yes.
That we can do it as a group. I think it will bring more ideas. Two groups. So is that fine, Elder Mtema? We get those towards the front and those towards the back. Oh, we. All right. All right. Elder, please help us divide the groups. So that we don't divide the couples anyway.
Yeah, the couples are not divided.
All right, so how much time do you give us in our group?